It is election day for the mayorship in Sylacauga, Alabama. Good morning. On this election Tuesday morning, we welcome Dr. Matthew Hubbard, candidate for mayor of the city of Sylacauga. Matt, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Jimmy Dow.
You got a good night's sleep last night, right?
First good night's sleep in a month. So yeah, I'm ready for this 12, 13 hour push today. So just been looking forward to it.
And we had a guest star student before you, and I'm told that you were kissing babies in the studio.
Yeah, she had just a precious little sister over here with her mom and dad. She was just cute as she could be and had the biggest smile on her face. So that's the way you want to get your morning started, right there.
Put a smile on your face,
It sure
right?
did. It was great, yeah.
Well, today's the day. All the hard work coming to a close today, and as I came by the wreck, there were a lot of signs up, and a lot of hard work is taking place.
A lot of hard work, you know, and it's just the culmination of really 5 months of a really strong ground game and just getting out and talking with our people and with the Sylacauga family and listening to the issues that, you know, and concerns that they have, and then just, you know, developing that platform and developing those plans to go along to match each issue and concern on that platform. And so, you know, we'll know, and, you know, by 7:15, 7:30 this evening, we'll know. And I do want to encourage our Sylacauga family, regardless of the outcome of tonight's or today's election, you know, it's more important now than ever that we support whoever is chosen as mayor and in District 4 and support that new city council, and make sure that the interest that we have now, that it continues, if not grows, over the next 4 years. And just let those elected leaders know that you're still there in a positive manner, you know, and let them know that the community is still engaged and that they're engaged with the community, and then we start pushing things forward together.
Let's step back in time and refresh people a little bit why you chose to run for mayor to begin with.
Yeah, it's just, you know, understanding the needs of our city, and especially at City Hall with the personnel matters that have been, you know, plaguing our City Hall for the past 2 to 3 years, and ongoing litigation. That was the first thing that kind of, you know, got that developing that platform. I've had people speak to me over the years, especially, you know, those last 4 or 5 years of my professional career, about the possibility of this. And then when I did retire, of course, you know, as I stated on one of my previous interviews, Mayor Heigl himself really was the one having breakfast down at Booker one morning that kind of, you know, nudged me over the top right there. And then when I made that, some people call it a pros and cons list, or, you know, the positive, negatives, or these things have to happen. When I made that list, there were 4 things that had to happen. All 4 of those things came to fruition. I took that, you know, from a sign from our creator that, hey, let's go. Called Mayor Heigl, let him know that, you know, we were going to be running, and we jumped in with both feet, and we've been hitting the pavement, so to speak, and here we are.
You feel like that with your educational background, working at City Hall as mayor goes hand in glove.
It does. It to me, and with my personal experience doing what I did for the last 10 years in the school system, being over operations and being over multiple departments and multiple employees within those departments and those multiple budgets and so forth, I got the opportunity to actually work with a lot of our department heads at City Hall. So I already knew the inner workings of our local municipal government, but it goes beyond that, because I know a lot of our people. I know a lot of our department heads who are still there, and a lot of our municipal employees within each department. So, you know, in my mind, when you look at, you know, my skill set and what the mayoral position does, you know, it's a nonpartisan, it's a non-political position. Your legislative body is your city council. that's where you can get a little more political play, political positioning is on the legislative side. Well, the mayoral position is the administrative side. So the mayor is the administrator of the city. Well, I've got over 20 years of experience in administration and dealing with public money and non-public money to that degree, and dealing with our public as a whole in general. So yes, in my mind, that should make a very smooth transition if chosen.
Last weekend, which was the final weekend push before the election today, you and your team were out. And what were people saying to you about this election today?
You know, I actually had this, we've knocked on doors the last 3 Saturdays. And this past Saturday, we had our largest group. We had close to 30 volunteers that we spread out across District 1 and District 5. The very first Saturday after the runoff election, we went to Districts 2 and to Districts 4, because at that time, those were the 2 districts that were in runoff. So we wanted to make sure that we hit those 2 districts early and covered them completely. And then in the middle, last week, we hit District 5, and District 4, I apologize for that. And then this past weekend, we went through District 1 and through District 5. And I got this last weekend, I had a lot of folks talk to me about my Futures Foundation and Plan 2028 and Plan 2030. I got a lot of good feedback that they like the fact that we're thinking and planning ahead prior to the census in 2030, and the importance. There's a sense of urgency to what we need to do over the next 4 years to keep our population from dropping below 12,000. So I had a lot of those conversations, and I'll be honest with you, that was very refreshing. And still we just got a lot of good positive feedback.
Now, this census you've referred to in times past, I don't know if people are really grasping the importance of numbers in that census.
Yeah, and I haven't put it in this terms yet, but this is going to be the most important census that our city has taken in the year 2030, because it's going to let us know if we stay above 12,000 in population or if we've dropped below. So our efforts, and I'll just be honest, if we've had long-term planning, this effort would have started, in the previous term. But, we are where we are right now, so we've got 4 years to get things corrected and headed in the right direction. And really not that long. That's why I said the Futures Foundation, we need to really focus on that the first 1.5 to 2 years, start building our coalition and getting folks of the same mindset, getting us all on the same team, Sylacauga family, and growing that effort, these beautification efforts, and start attracting those investors and small businesses and new families and retired couples to our city, and start growing our population, because we have available homes and we have available land that property owners are willing to start develop. So it's a matter of getting everyone together with the same vision and just working toward accomplishing those goals, and making sure that we get that population, keep it above that 12,000 mark.
We're talking to Dr. Matthew Hubbard, candidate for mayor in today's runoff election. Polls open at 7, close at 7 p.m. this evening. Talk about the next 4 years. Mm-hmm. It's very critical for our city. You have a plan.
Absolutely, and it goes back to the issues, the number one issue, and I've said it all along, you can go way back and look at our posts and those type things, but the first thing we have to do and start, moving or correcting the ship in the right direction is to handle personnel matters at City Hall. Now, some of those are being litigated out right now. We need to get them to a close and move on. We just literally saw within the last couple of weeks how much it cost the city for what originated as a small personnel matter that went on for years and turned into a six-figure cost to the city that just got resolved a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, we need to avoid that type scenario, and we need to make sure, you know, that our efforts at City Hall, because I've said this all along too, we have wonderful employees at City Hall. We need to have the same message when people come to City Hall looking for answers through a particular department or service, that they're greeted with a hello and a smile and how you doing and those type things, and that we are professional yet personable with our family here in Sylacauga. Now those are small things that are big things. And so it's just a matter of an atmosphere or environment shift or an attitude shift. And it all begins with us. You know, it begins with our Sylacauga family. We have to take care of one another. That's what we're all tax-paying citizens. We're all in this together. And so it's going to take that type mindset, that type leadership of us all coming together, working together for the greater good. And that's going to be the first step. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, we have the other issues, excuse me, you know, flood mitigation. That will begin, you know, on day one, you know, with the Matt Hubbard administration. Mayor Heigl talked at the forum that the city has put $3 million toward flood mitigation. I've not seen the scope of work. I don't know if that work is primarily addressing the flood mitigation at Arrowhead, or if it addresses that and some of the downtown flooding. So as far as flood mitigation goes, my first act will be to find out the scope of work for that $3 million and see exactly where that work is taking place and the depth of that work and the ripple effect of that work. And then once I have a comprehension and understanding of that, then we start developing the plan coming off of the result of that $3 million work, because it may resolve some of our flooding mitigation. Now, I had a conversation just this past week, I won't call his name, but a very, very knowledgeable individual in our community who understands all of the water issues in Sylacauga, from well water, spring water, wastewater, runoff water. He knows where the water's coming from that's causing the flood mitigation. He reminded me that our former mayor, Sam Wright, built a retention pond back behind Bluebell, and it sits completely dry. And it's because those ditches and all running to it are blocked up and not clean. So, and that's part of the water that backs up to downtown. So just having someone, a resource like that has that knowledge that goes back 50 years worth of plans and efforts that have dealt with flood and flood mitigation and those type things is just invaluable. So we have that with flood mitigation, and now, you know, the next biggest issues on the platform are animal control and the animal shelter. Now, I've talked in depth about animal control, and of course there'll be a grandfather clause in there. We'll have to work out the details, but a required pet registration, spay and neuter at that same time of registration, and we'll figure the funding out. That's just part of budgeting, short-term and long-term budgeting. And then the option for microchipping or ear tagging, you know, either one of those that will help identify that pet if he or she's lost or stolen or whatever the scenario may be. And then part of the biggest issue of animal control is stopping the illegal dumping that's taking place in our community, because we've got Clay, Coosa, Shelby, and even in our own county, Talladega, coming and dumping not just one animal at a time, but loads of animals. So we have to look at that, put an effort in stopping that, and really increase that fine. And when we catch someone doing it, making sure that we hold them accountable through the legal and judicial side of it. Now, also on animal control, you know, is an animal control officer, and making sure that we have a fully funded animal control officer position who's working a full day for animal control, and not, a little bit of animal control here and then at the shelter a little bit. So again, that goes back to budgeting. Like that would be long-term, permanent type budgeting right there, year after year. So getting that in place, and then the next issue was the animal shelter itself, the physical plant of the animal shelter, and that speaks to my last 10 years of my career and my certifications in facility planning and actual financial management as well, and making sure we're budgeting for renovations to our animal shelter, making sure that we're getting it up to safety standards to where our employees want to come to work every day and be a part of that, and that we're taking care of those animals, not just in a physical sense, but medically as well. So, and I can't leave out the feral dogs of Avondale Mills and the efforts that they do. And part of this animal control and animal shelter is making sure that we continue to get the funding from Talladega County, because the county shut their animal rescue, or I should say animal shelter, down. And so now, the agreement was, or the understanding was, in lieu of that, they would send municipalities, their fair share of funding, and so making sure that that continues.
We're talking with Dr. Matthew Hubbard, candidate for mayor in the runoff election today. Polls open at 7 this morning, close at 7 o'clock tonight. The budget.
Yeah.
The mayor is going to be responsible for putting its budget together, and whomever the mayor is, you're going to go into this a little bit blind, because you've got these things that's got to be addressed. That's
right, and that goes back to a little bit of what I've touched on previously about organizational structure. I worked on that in the school system, making sure that we've got the right people in the right positions, and those positions are serving the current needs and future trends. It's no different with municipal government. We do need a PR, public relations, and communications positions at City Hall. That's going to take, of course, short-term, long-term budgeting skills, but we also need IT, because this whole situation with the telephones, I'm gonna just be kind and say it's unprofessional. It never should have happened. And 1 hour of no communication is an hour too long, especially in 2025. But
explain to people, if you are elected mayor today, maybe people watching this morning may not know the extent of the telephone issue at City Hall.
I mean, this has been going on for months, and if you've tried to call City Hall, the majority of the time you can't even get through to City Hall from information I've been given. Now, they may have corrected that part to where you can get to City Hall, but then the internal communications from City Hall out to different departments through that telephone system is down. Now, I know they brought the telephone group in, and they spoke at one of the city council meetings, but all that did was more for an understanding. It didn't resolve anything. So, but going back to that organizational structure, if I get in and I see that we definitely need a full-time PR versus part-time, then that's what I'll recommend to the city council, and it'll be up to them to approve that. Same way with IT. Currently, right now, if the mayor wanted to come in and say, okay, I need to see our day-to-day at the city shop, or you take any department, it could be Parks and Rec, it could be the city shop, it could be streets department, whatever the department is, the mayor and or the city clerk, they have to go to that department head and say, hey, send me this information. There's no direct software link from the mayor's office financially to any, and it's 2025. And, I don't even want to get into the possibilities, to the negative possibilities that could create. So just something as simple as having updated software, financial software, to where we can all be on the same page that fast. Where I can pick the phone up and get a department head and say, okay, I'm looking at, you know, your purchases, your encumbrances, what you're bringing in, what your allocation was, and those type things. And it needs to be like that. It doesn't need to be a 2, 3, 4 day process. We need to streamline that process, and it begins with IT and making sure that, you know, we can all communicate properly.
You, last time you were here, talked about your platform and talked about the importance of getting that platform in place. And there's a lot of people that don't really understand how government works.
Yeah.
You just don't snap your finger and it gets done.
No, I remember Sam Wright, you know, may you rest in peace. I remember Sam would always say, government works, but it works slow, but it's working. And that was one of his favorite sayings, you know, and there's truth to that. And from someone who's worked, you know, on the public side of public education, I understand the frustration on both sides, you know, as the professional dealing with it, and then as the public, as a parent or, you know, that deals with it. So I understand both sides of the frustration on that. And so that's why, you know, I say streamline. In 2025, anything related to technology, you've got to have your procedures and policies in place that matches that streamlined procedure. So, and I've got experience. I did that in the school system when Dr. Freeman was here. So, I'm familiar with that and understand that process. And we need it. We need it badly at City Hall.
The importance of a mayor city council relationship. We've had fussing and fighting for years. How do you fix this?
You know, and going back to your previous question, Jimmy Dale, I did get that a lot. This past weekend, I was probably asked that 4 different times. How are you going to do it? And this is what I told them. That's what I did. I mean, I've worked with getting people working together my entire life. I go back to my playing days in high school. I was quarterback in high school. I had to know every position's role and what they were supposed to do on every play. And so when we would huddle up, if somebody didn't know his blocking assignment, I would remind them if they're in this defense, you know, and it had to be that quick. And that goes back to, you know, decisions too. I learned how to make, you know, decisions like that. That goes back to my athletic experience and so forth. Professional experience, it's no different in the classroom. A teacher, a coach, assistant principal, or director of operations. You're the one thing that you do whenever you enter into a new position is start building relationships with your people. Because if you don't do that, if you dismiss them or if you just put them off over here, you know, hey, you're just the lowest part of this totem pole, so to speak, right here, you will never succeed at what you're trying to do. So it all begins with our people forming those relationships, trusting relationships, and then start building and moving forward in everything. Because as we're building those relationships, we're going to be streamlining policies and procedures and those type things as well. So, you know, we're going to have some momentum. We're going to have that sense of urgency. And, you know, my appeal to our employees is going to be, hey, let's jump on this bus. Let's get it heading in the right direction, because I'm real big on getting the right people in the right seats on the right bus, heading in the right direction with the right driver on the right road. You just keep going on and on, the right mechanic. Yeah. So just that analogy, but it all begins with those personal relationships. And this is what I'm going to talk to our city council about if I'm chosen as mayor. And I said this last interview, politics is the art of compromise. You cannot come in rationally and reasonably expecting to get everything that you want from your personal perspective. There has to be give and take in all negotiations that we will go through over the next 4 years. And we have to have the ability to see and understand the greater good in everything that we do moving forward.
There's a lot of people that you want to thank for helping you in your campaign for mayor. The next 4 years very, very critical to our city. Talk about those people that have been helpful to you, maybe not just in friendship, but in time spent together, knocking on doors.
And the addition of Jada Combs to our campaign has been huge. The energy that she brings and the class act that she brings to the campaign, I can't thank Jada enough for her endorsement and for her support. Of course, my oldest son Brady, we started knocking on doors together, and now it's just since he's gone to college, that effort has just grown and our team has grown. And so that's been enjoyable to see. But Jimmy Dale, I have to thank our local media. I have to thank you for what you do. Without our local media, our platform and our message does not get out. I've been fortunate to advertise with Ken Brewer at Sylacauga Today, with Bruce Carr at WFEB on the radio, here with you at WOIL, TV 47. And then I had the digital billboard here, and then the big digital billboard out at in front of where Pelicans used to be, in front of Piggly Wiggly on 21. So, and then Swin, of course, Clay Greer and the folks at Swin, they've done all my signs and my campaign materials, my door hangers and cards. So, just spending 90% of all of close to the $30,000 that I have in my campaign, 90% of it's been spent right here locally in Sylacauga, infused back into our local economy. So I'm very proud of that. And then I want to thank our Sylacauga family and community for allowing us to run a clean campaign. And then look, it's been hard. These last 3 weeks, it's been hard not to, and this is what I've always told people, there's a difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is typically emotional, and it will usually get you in trouble somehow, shape, form, or fashion, or it will come back and bite you in the derriere, so to speak. A response is well thought out, it's not emotional, and it's usually something you can reflect on and be proud of. So making sure that we're not reacting, that we're responding to things has been very important to my campaign. And I just hope that it's been received that way.
Finally, what will people get if they choose to vote for you as mayor of Sylacauga for the next 4 years?
You're going to get 4 years of the hardest working mayor that you've ever seen. 4 years of integrity, 4 years of honesty and transparent leadership. I'm not Abraham Lincoln, but my faith, I'm not going to tell a lie. I'm not going to purposely mislead any one individual or any group at any point in time. The biggest goal or the biggest motivator that I should say motivator and catalyst is that I want what's best for our great city and for our people. Now, you say, are you relying just on your own opinion? No. I've learned over 32 years and really over 55 years on God's beautiful earth that we accomplish nothing individually. It's always as a team. It's always relying, hey, what do you think about this? Or what are your thoughts and rationale about this? And it's taking all of that input to develop, whatever thought, rationale, reasoning, plan, whatever you're applying it to. So I do not rely solely on just my own experiences. So that's what you're going to get: integrity, honest leadership, transparency, and the very best that of the common good for our city and for our family.
Dr. Matthew Hubbard, candidate for mayor in today's runoff mayoral election. Polls open at 7 this morning, close at 7 o'clock. And Matt, Godspeed, and thanks for coming today.
Thank you, Jimmy Dale.
More after this.